Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show this week. We've got a good one for you in store. For the first time in Off the Wall history, we've got two people on the show at the same time. That's right, 2 for 1. It's like a special sale over here at Off the Wall. We had Antwane Grant, who most recently spent some time with the Nashville Cats in the AF1 in 2025, has had a pretty long career professionally, playing in the NFL, CFL, and arena leagues. So dive into his career a little bit. Then we also had James Guidry. If you don't know who James Guidry is a quarterback from the original AFL in the 1990s, who has had a really inspiring and impactful story. So didn't really dive into it too much in this one, but hoping we can get him back on the show to dive into more of his specific journey and the trials and tribulations he's faced along the way. But yeah, I had a chance to really chop it up with the both of them and dive into a little bit of Mr. Grant's career, dive into a little bit of Mr. Guidry's experience and how they got to know each other and the type of bond that they've had over the past couple of years. So it was exciting to be able to chop it up with them. But before we dive into that, it's time for social plugs. That's right. If you don't already, please make sure you're following us at Off the Wall FB. F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X/Twitter, all the things and stuff. Go give us a follow on there. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, thank you for being here. Please make sure you're subscribing to the channel, liking the video, dropping a comment, doing all the things and stuff that everyone else says ad nauseum. It works and it really helps out. We upload different episodes of the Turf Tapes. We have a stream of the original Arena Football video game on Xbox. I'm going to be doing a few more of those in the Indoor and Arena Football off season. Have some shorts that we upload on there as well. So click around the profile. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you think we could do a little bit better. And I'm looking forward to hearing the feedback from everybody. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you go to the show page, rate us 5 stars, leave a review if you can. And just spread the word and let's see how far we can grow this thing out. So without further ado, here is the interview with Mr. Grant and Mr. Guidry. All right, on the show this week, we have multiple guests on to talk shop about the arena football game. First up, we got Antwane Grant, who is a wide receiver who's been playing pro football for nearly a decade now. And most recently played in the AF1 with the Nashville Cats. He's an NAL champion. He's a former AFL Rookie of the Year as well. And then we got James Guidry, who used to play quarterback in the AFL in the 90s. So we got a couple different generation of arena football players here. And gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have both of you on. First time in Off the Wall history, we got 2 guests on at the same time. So this is going to be a fun combo. How are we doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Again, thank you for letting me on as well. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll start with Antwane here. Tell us a little bit about your football journey and what ultimately led you to arena football.
I'll just sum it up for you, make a long story short. Started playing football in high school. For freshman year was my first year playing. Played in high school. Wasn't a qualifier or anything coming out, so I had to take the junior college path. Went to college up in upstate New York. Did a pretty good job there. Earned a scholarship to go over to Western Kentucky. Played a few seasons up there. Did a good job. Was able to, land in the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think that whole experience was, it was a great experience, honestly. But it kind of prepared me for the next step with Canada, going to the CFL afterwards, and then definitely Canada, the CFL definitely prepared me for the indoor game where I landed. So
yeah,
quite a journey, but
it's crazy to look back on 10. I was doing the math. I was like, oh man, he's been playing pro ball for 10 years. Does it feel like 10 years?
Doesn't feel like 10 years. A couple seasons I had to take off and get my body right and everything. But doesn't feel like 10 years, not at all. No, time flies, to be honest.
Yeah, you mentioned your time in the CFL prepping you for the arena game.
Yep.
I'd imagine getting accustomed to the waggle was the biggest adjustment. But what helped you adjust the most to that indoor arena game from your time in the CFL?
Aside from the waggle, I think CFL just having the 3 downs instead of the conventional 4 downs definitely was when I got to the arena league. It was more so one of those things of the game being more up-tempo, more quicker. And I think CFL kind of prepared you for that. You only had 3 downs instead of 4. So everything had to be when it comes to, route depths and how you want to stem routes and how you want to break routes off and set DBs up. I think the game from the CFL, just having those 3 downs, everything just has to be quicker. By the time you got to the indoor games, it's a smaller venue, small arena, so everything is quicker. So I think that was the big adjustment that helped me, transition over.
Yeah. Had you ever been to Canada before that, or was that your first time going?
No, right when I went from the NFL, I went straight to Canada. Was up there for 2 years, and the advantage for me was the waggle, being a bigger receiver, right? Being
Yeah.
215, just coming down waggling. It just, the waggle made it a lot easier, to be honest.
Yeah, and that waggle, aka that high man motion, as it's called in the arena game, you were able to make a tremendous impact your first year in the AFL with the Atlantic City Blackjacks in 2019. Tell me a little bit about your time with the Blackjacks and what that first year indoors was like.
It was a great time in Atlantic City, to be honest. We had a great fan base. Loved hanging out with the fans after the game, things of that nature. It was my first time ever being able to be that close to the crowd, right? To be able to interact with them. So I feel like that was a huge transition. But I feel like the Atlanta City Blackjacks, to be honest, I had a lot of veterans. I had a lot of guys that were able to help mold me into the player that I became. Guys like Lamarck Brown, Kendrick Ings, those are guys, Randy Hipper, those are guys that like took me
Yeah.
under immediately. And then from there, once like I figured it out, which, didn't take a long couple games, I feel like from there I just built confidence and just took off.
Yeah, and I would imagine that that's how you got in contact with Mr. Guidry over here. How did you guys come in contact, and what's the relationship been like between you guys?
Guidry, yeah, that was actually our relationship has been, we started in 2019 and we've been rocking, strong ever since. But I was introduced, going to the NFL and the CFL. You always have rookie symposium, so we had the AFL, same kind of structure. So that's where I met Mr. Guidry at, and from there, like I said, our relationship just has grown from there. Just understanding the business of the game, the protection side of things for the players, things of that nature. So I'm just having interesting conversations, just trying to do a little networking. Our relationship just, kind of took off from there.
Yeah, James, what do you remember when you first met Antwane? Like, what do you remember first meeting him and being like, "Hey, this kid's got some moxie. I like how he works."
Yeah, absolutely. He was one of the guys in the locker room. Of course, his experience in the NFL actually brought a lot of education and knowledge to the locker room in the AFL. A lot of the players in the AFL have not been in the type of structure that he's been before with the
Right.
NFL and the CFL. So, and also this was like a reorganizing of those guys because the league had been in bankruptcy before and it brought it to bankruptcy and then the second time. So we were there just to just bring us some structure and educate those young men who've never been under this type of what would you say, representation before. A lot
Yeah.
of the guys love to play the game before that without representation, and that was their mindset. So to have someone in the room like Antwane was huge for us because he's our eyes and our ears away from that the locker room. So to have someone in there with that type of knowledge was very, very. It was paramount for us to be able to do what we were able to do. He made it a lot easier for us to come in
Yeah.
there and inform the men and let them know, hey, this is the right thing to do for you, not for us, but for you.
Hmm. Yeah, and Antoine, you mentioned some of those veterans that have like helped you when you were early on. You've quickly become that veteran presence, especially over the past couple of years. What are some of those things that you learned from those vets back then that you kind of passed on to some of the younger players, like maybe this year or years past?
Um, I would say again, just making sure you guys are just doing your due diligence with, taking care of your bodies, just ensuring that uh, you guys are aware of like when it comes to like whether it be a contract dispute, whether it be the medical side of things, whether it be
Hmm.
just football in all aspects, all areas around. I just feel like learning from those guys helped me understand like there's a business side to things, and I
Right.
like again, I graduated from Western Kentucky with my degree in business. So again, going to the NFL and then going to the CFL and just understanding the business model, the business structure of things. I think that was very beneficial for me. My first year in the Arena Football League, just to, again, I'm not in the NFL, I'm not in the CFL, so just the business side of things, you just might want to tighten up and just make sure everything is on the up and up. So aside from that, I think majority of what I learned from those guys was how to be a pro, how to handle the business. But then again, a lot of it came to the playmaking side of things on the field, things where I feel like that was very influential as well.
Yeah, and you were you were no stranger to making plays on the field, both in the AFL, in the NAL, and even in the AF1 this past year. Talk to me about your time in the NAL after AFL folded in 2019. COVID happened, things and
Right.
stuff. We fast forward a couple years there, jump into the NAL, and you were able to make plays all over the place, whether it was in Columbus or Albany. What do you remember most about those NAL seasons?
Um, I think what I remember most is 2021 to 2022. It was like the transition back to Ironman. So that's just what I
Mhm.
remember during that time span. It was like going back to players playing both sides of the ball, and you had an OS, you had a DS. It was just a different component to the indoor game, that it was just like you had to remember rule changes and things of that nature. So that's really what I remember about 2021, 2022. But other than that, I mean, I was offensive specialist, so only thing I had to do was so, take off
Yeah,
out of it for me. But that's probably one thing that I do remember from that time.
yeah, you didn't have to worry about any of that. That's someone else's problem. You see ball, get ball.
Yes,
It's an easy job for you.
that's it.
So you had a bit of a gap between those NAL years and signing with the Nashville Cats this year. Did you just need some time away from the game, and like what happened during that time?
Well, I just be, very, transparent. I think for me, I think at the time I was 30, and I just felt the game was, for me personally, the game was kind of unraveling, so to speak. I
Hmm.
felt like, again, if you look at the transition from the NFL to the CFL, where it's like they give you, in the CFL you have a bigger field, right? Bigger end zones, thing of nature. So it's less of a, what do you want to say? It's less of a chance of you, like, I know injuries and things of that nature can always happen, but I think the game changes when you go from the CFL, bigger field, to the indoor game where it's a smaller field. So I think at the time playing Ironman, going both ways, the standards of the leagues was going in the opposite direction of what I was accustomed to in the AFL when I first came.
Hmm.
So things were just going. The game and how the business was going, it just wasn't aligning for me. So I took 2023 off. Tried to let the game, try to see what the game was going to do. 2024, the AF1 was coming back, right? And that's what I was accustomed to, which is the AFL. So for me, it was like, okay, this is the AFL coming back in 2024. So
Yeah.
I was in Philadelphia Soul in 2024 in training camp, and the first couple games of the season. Things didn't pan out in Philadelphia. And then after taking 2024 off, 2025, here we are, and I was in Nashville.
Yeah, that 2024 season definitely wasn't ideal
Right.
to say the
Right.
least. That's putting it as nicely as possible.
There you go.
Um, yeah, but it was awesome to see you back out there for the 2025 season. How did that opportunity to join Nashville come about, and why Nashville?
Ah, I'm gonna be honest again. I'll be very transparent. It was between Nashville and Albany. I had my stint in Albany, and I just felt like at the time, um, I just wanted like a different scenery, change of scenery. New
Right.
York, I came back to Albany. However, I just wanted, a little bit of a challenge. The only coach that I really knew down there was Coach Foster, and he was very, instrumental in getting me down there.
Yeah.
But for me, it was, again, a change of scenery, and then also for personal reasons, my son lives in Memphis. I'm in Nashville, 3 hours, so
Nice. Okay.
it was a chance to get away and spend some time with my son. So
Yeah.
full advantage of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Not too far from where you went to college either, so I'm sure you were
Yep.
familiar with the region already. So that checks a bunch of boxes. Did you reach out to James at all? Being like, hey James, what should I do here? What's the move?
Absolutely. We actually had a few conversations. He came to actually a few games. So again, me and James, our relationship has always been there since 2019. He's flew and flown out the games. Me and him have always seen each other. Anytime we get a chance to see each other, it's like, I gotta just sit down and talk to my mentor, and kind of get on the same page, and then
Yeah.
pick his brain on things of that nature. And again, that's my guy. He's been my guy since 2019.
Yeah, and James, flipping back over to you, you played in a very different era of the arena game, and what do you like when you're talking to some players in today's game? What are some things you really try to drive home with them that not to be too like back in my day, but back in your day, you learned some things the hard way, and how do you how do you relay some of those learned to this younger generation?
First off, respect the game. A lot
Mhm.
of the young men today come in there with a sense of entitlement, and they don't understand the hard work. And a lot of them do understand the hard work that we used to put in. Like Antoine was saying, we had to play two ways. When I first came in the Arena Football League, even though my career, I'm a career quarterback, I made a team as a wide receiver. True
Mhm.
story. And we had four quarterbacks in camp that day. One receiver was out at a dental appointment, and a head coach told me, "Hey, why don't you step in over there?" I put the ball down, ran over there, ran a route, caught it with all hands. He said, "Why don't you just stay over there? just, just stay over there." I wasn't catching the ball with my chest. I was catching it with my hand because I'm a quarterback. I'm used to the texture of the football. So he said,
Right,
"Why don't you
yeah.
just stay over there?" And I did. Because of the position, however, I pulled both my quad muscles. I was a quarterback. I wasn't used to
Uh,
running. So I ended up making the team still. One true story in practice once. This is when a lead first came out. So I would pop a couple of leads before practice and get two ice bags. Those were my thigh pads. And I would go to practice with ice packages in my thigh pads. And the head coach looked at that. He never did say anything to me, but later somebody came and says he saw how dedicated you were. He knew who he had to have you on the team.
yeah.
And that's what I did. I ended up making the team, even albeit I was on injured reserve when the season started. I still made the team as a receiver. That's the dedication, like Antoine was saying. Manage your body. A lot of young players take for granted that they can get out there and play this game, even though it's not the outdoor game. Arena football is a fast-paced game, constantly moving, constantly moving, constantly moving. There's no downtime really in arena football.
Yeah.
And if you don't prepare that way, you're going to get sucked under and you're not going to be able to compete at a higher level. So I go in there and teach the men about not just the athleticism of the game, but about also, like Antoine was saying earlier, about the business aspect of the game. This is
Right.
a numbers game, and Arena Football League is a revolving door. A lot of people don't understand why. It's because you can't do the exact same thing in the indoor league or the outdoor league that you can do in the indoor league.
Hmm.
Guys who play in the indoor league can go out and and duplicate what they can in the outdoor game.
Yeah.
That's why you saw Kurt Warner. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to be Kurt Warner before Kurt Warner was, because I
Hmm.
was in Barcelona, Spain. I got discovered over there by Jack Bignell, who's the former head coach of Boston College, who was actually the head coach of the Barcelona Dragon World League Football, NFL World League. I had a workout while I was in Barcelona. They signed me, and I was going to be allocated to the then LA Rams back in '93. But it was the only year that the NFL Europe did not play. And
Hmm.
because of my faith tells me the reason why I wasn't able to go to the NFL was because they needed me in the AFL to do what I did to the AFL. So when I left Europe, I came back to the United States and played in the Arena Football League. Again, to your point, it's all about opportunity. And these young men need to understand when that opportunity is offered to you, make sure you have done everything that you could have done to impress who's ever going to be the decision makers. You can't just walk out on that field in the Arena Football League and think you're going to,
No.
man, these guys, I watched them play in the NAL, the IFL, they're not as good as me. When you get out there and you see, you coming from the NFL, think you can do what those guys in the NFL and the indoor league can do, you are sadly mistaken. Because when they get out there and they start huffing and puffing, they
Yep.
tell you, I didn't know it was like this. Exactly. The Arena
That.
Football League is a fast paced game.
Yeah.
You got between seconds to get the playoff. Everything's happened like that. And furthermore, you can end up in somebody's lap in the stands if you're not careful.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. And yeah. And Antoine, going like jumping forward to this year, then you signed with Nashville a few weeks into the season, and I don't think it's a coincidence that that's when things started to turn around for the Cats on the field and started to right the ship in the right direction. What do you think you brought to the table individually? Was it like being a culture guy, being a locker room guy, being what do you think you brought to the table that really helped the team get things turned around and ultimately make a run to that title game.
So definitely, I say when I came in, there was no sense of identity. I felt like there was, like James said, the game's a revolving door. So I just felt like the way that, I guess, the evaluation process for the organization or for the franchise at the time, it was kind of the things where I just and true story. I had a conversation with our coaching staff, and I just let them know that I just felt like there wasn't any culture, there wasn't any identity, there wasn't like who are we kind of deal. So I think after having that conversation with our coaches of just being transparent, being like straightforward with us as a team, there was a lot of, like I said, the evaluation process, a lot of the things. But again, we have to create an identity. We have to have certain, like we can't have different guys. So it was just kind of things where they just needed a leader. I just felt like we needed camaraderie. I felt like the talent was in the locker room. I just feel like the first few weeks, it's just there was no cohesion amongst the three components of the game, the three phases. So offense, defense, special teams. I just feel like, guys, we got to put it all together. And once I feel like they bought in immediately when I came in, of course, everybody knows me and things of that nature. So it's just like, oh, we got Grant, so we feel confident. And then again, I think a huge thing that I think did it for us was solidifying our quarterback. Once we solidified a quarterback, I feel like from there and again, establishing the pieces around him, we could build. Now let's just keep building on it. And that's just what it was. So I just feel like me saying that and just, I don't know if they didn't have nobody to say that to the coaches, but just had a conversation and we move forward with that. Now we're good.
Yeah, it seemed like Nashville had a bunch of good ingredients, but it wasn't a good drink, if that makes sense. Whereas all right, I have all the ingredients to make a very tasty beverage, but it's just not mixing. Like, what's the deal? So it's awesome to hear that you were able to go in there and help mix the drink a little bit, make it palatable for the viewer. So speaking of the coaching staff, what was it like playing for Coach Arbet? The general consensus I get, he's tough, but the results are there, and it's proven in his body of work.
I think Coach Arbet, he again, like I was saying, he kind of like he's on that line, and he like feeders on that line of like you may think on one hand like, yo, this guy's crazy, he's insane, like, but you got to be a little insane to be brilliant. Only the brilliant minds were like they were like borderline like crazy. So I think he is on that line, but at the end of the day, he's a blue collar, hard working. Like he all he knows is work. And for me, being 32, just getting back to the grind of like just the everyday grind on the body or whatever. For me, I think that helped. But at the same time, he's a coach that I would play for only because he's a results guy. He's all about results. He's tell me what you can do right now. Don't tell me, just show me. And I think that was kind of a coaching style that I was kind of drawn towards with him. Like he wants you to show me, and for me, it's just like I'll show you. So,
yeah, and when you look at the coaches you've had a pretty good set of head coaches throughout your career. I was doing some deep dive, and I was like, all right, Coach Ron James, Jason Gibson, Tom Menas, Darren Arbet. I'm like, it's hard to top that list. Like that's a solid list. So like, what are some things you've taken away from each of them that you like contribute to your own coaching that you do with your team that we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, like what are some things you took away from each of them?
Okay, I would say with Ron James, I definitely took away from him. He was definitely like a player's coach, and his door was always open for like he's a player's coach. He'll talk to you like you want to go in and talk to him. Go into the office. His office is always open. So I think from Coach James, I feel like I took from him just being a player's coach, right? I feel like who's that? Coach Gibson. Coach Gibson was he's innovative. He's not just a head coach. He's like he has a player. He's a quarterback. He's his mind innovative. So one thing from Coach Gibson is again, he's all about designing plays for his playmakers. And that was one thing I definitely took from Coach Gibb. Gibby gonna get you the ball, and he's not just getting you the ball, he's implementing all the guys around you. It feels like you'll have 9 catches, but you'll look around and the other receivers got 7, 8, 9 catches too. So that was something for me that I took from him. Coach Menas. Coach Menas was kind of like Coach Gibby, not in an innovative sense, but in a sense of he knew who his guys were. And Coach Minaj is going, if you his guy, you his guy. And he making sure you felt like a guy, you're treated like a guy, you're making plays like the guy. Everything was just around his guys. So I think that captivated me. So I think that's something I took from him. He made you feel welcomed. You a guy, and he gonna make it known that you a guy. And then, like I said, with Coach Arbet, Coach Arbet is a show me not tell me. He's a blue collar guy. He's all about work. He's handling his business. And that's it. He sets the expectation high, and he does not lower standard. He does not lower standard. He sets it where it's at, and you got it. Come on, and he gonna keep pulling you. So that's something I took from there. So I would say each of those coaches out. That's something that I took from each of those coaches.
Yeah, and those are solid qualities from each of those. So it's, like I said, when I was going through it, I'm like, man, this is a Mount Rushmore of coaches. Like this is a really, really solid group. But this question is actually for both of you guys as veterans of the arena game. What do you think needs to happen for the game to continue to grow and become a bigger and better product? Like I feel like we've seen lots of trials and tribulations over the past 4 or 5 years, and I feel like things are trending in the right direction with a couple different leagues. But from your guys' experience, what do you think needs to improve for the game to continue to grow?
Well, for us, to be honest, you need good quality investors that's going to be committed. What the format we had when I was playing, if we had new franchises pitting, investors bidding on teams in their market, wherever market they were located, they had to have a guarantee, a guarantee contract for at least 3 years in that market, which guaranteed that team would be in that market for at least 3 years, and it had to have upfront assets to secure that market for at least 3 years. And the continuity was helping to drive the fan base. They knew that their favorite player would always be there for at least the next 3 years. And then they can also revisit to make sure they want to be there for another 3 more years. The investors would be able to have that team in the market for 3 more years. It'd be 6 years. We've seen their excuses for throwing the leagues into bankruptcy. They will always try to make it seem like it was the players, the bottom line. And when we organized the players, we never went in there demanding more economically. We only went in there primarily to demand better standards. So if you have the best standards for players that leave their families, you want to have the opportunity for them to have their families with them, make sure you set them up, because one thing we learned as players is that I cannot contribute 100% of my time and effort to you if I'm concerned about my family who's not here with me every single day. Then they have to understand they're not going to have the best product on the field because of that. If a player has to be concerned about traveling 19 hours to go play a game, how much energy have they exerted where they cannot actually give you 100% effort in a game that night if you travel 19 hours to go play? And housing standards and practice standards, equipment standards, travel standards, just all these standards, if they can have a league that can address just those issues, those non-economical issues, some non-economical issues too, they could have a successful league. Also, broadcasting rights. If they had broadcasting rights where they can actually show the product to an audience, a television audience, and get that TV rating up, that's also some security that they could have. Back in the days, we were on TNN, we were on ESPN. Matter of fact, in 1999, in the year I had my neck injury, the Arena Bowl was on ABC. It was on ABC, and we had a national TV contract like that, and that also secured their fate. Honestly, they would try to make it seem like we were coming to the table demanding for more money. That's not what the case was. We had a CBA, and we just wanted them to commit to what we had already agreed to, and they were not willing to. That also with you have players like Antwane Grant, well established, well known in this league, that's driving it. Where he has a fan base now. Wherever he goes, they want to see him. They want to see what's the quarterback name? Tony
Coco.
Coco, and they want to see Castronova.
Yep.
They're in Albany, who had actually jumped to another league now and competing in a different league. After the Arena Bowl was over with, he went and played in another league recently because he has a brand, a recognizable brand.
Yeah.
People want to see him everywhere he goes, just like Antwane. If Antwane ever go back to the CFL, they remember him. They want to see him. If he goes back to the NAL, they remember him. They want to see him. He is the driving force behind why the fans come to the games. Players like him. They're not there to see the head coach. I understand you're talking about Arbet. Arbet and I are very good friends. As a matter of fact, he was instrumental in help saving my life tonight. I had my neck injury. He and the whole entire organization there. It is true about what he says. Now, they do want, whenever they hear like a name like Darren Arbet is coaching the team, fans be like, oh, we're about to win a championship. When you hear Arbet, it's synonymous with championship because that's what he's historically known for. So we know that if Dan Arbet is our head coach, we're going to the games because he's going to put the finest product out on the field. That's going to drive the market, right? So that included, plus have a relationship with your players. That's from management on down to the players. Because if there's contention there between management and players, it's just not going to survive. It's not going to work. You need to have that relationship. And that's what I'm bringing to the game, back to the AF1, is the relationship between management and players. I've already established my relationship with a couple of owners out there, and Antwane has been very instrumental in engaging and in making that connection with those guys. And like I explained to him, I have resources too on behalf of the players that we can bring to help build the league back up to where it used to be.
Yeah.
And they know who I'm still connected with. I'm still connected with the NFL community, trying to get those people back involved. I actually was down in Washington, D.C. last year at this time at the NFL Players Association office, just re-engaging with them, reconnecting with those guys. So when you have a community like that, NFL and possibly CFL as well, and these other indoor leagues, it can continue to be successful and it can continue to grow. If we just continue to all pull together as a community, players, coaches, owners, and managers, we can get this league back to the success that it has. It's not always about the money for the players. Right. And you can see players just want to play the game. They just want to play the game. Yeah. You know, the money thing's going to come, but we have to be true partners because we can have to go out there and generate some revenue too for the league, putting our guys out there in the marketplace, taking the helmets off of them so the public can recognize Antwane Grant without his helmet on. Because when you see him with just the number one and a cat on his helmet. Let's take the helmet off of him. So, that's Antwane. That's Antwane.
Yeah.
And then that actually drives the market as well. They're going, let's get some jersey sales. Let's get some player cards back out there, what we used to have. So just the business side of it too, having the players to understand, listen, this is a business. You're no longer in college.
Right.
You're no longer in high school.
Yeah.
You need to carry yourself accordingly off the field. I don't want to bring this into it, but Shadir Sanders, they were at the Cleveland Browns. Stop speeding, son. You got 3 speeding tickets. Come on, that conduct is detrimental to the NFL brand. And this is one thing we need to tell our players too. Your conduct away from the field is detrimental to the AF1 if you don't carry yourself like a professional athlete.
Yeah.
And Antwane can speak on that. So those things, TV network, true partnership with management and ownership from the players, and respect your bottom line. Don't treat them like, like I said, it's a revolving door. No.
Yeah.
Fans come to see the player that they first engaged with. And if he's not there the next week, what makes me want to come to that game again if my favorite player is no longer there?
Yeah, you don't have you don't have that emotional connection to the people on the field.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
So those 3 things, if they can do that, then they can continue. They already got 2 new franchises coming in next year, one in Ohio, one in Michigan. That's great. Building it up that way. So let's get some quality players now and some local guys in that area where fans are familiar with. They will come out and support them. So just those little things like that. And one last thing, I'll say this.
Yeah.
There's an indoor team down in a little city called Beaumont, Texas, that just won the championship there. That's where I'm from. So my goal right now is to talk to the AF1 and say, hey, if you really want a committed market that's going to get the fans out there, Beaumont is the place to be. Why? Because that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I can get the people to come to those games and fill that arena up. They didn't have a lot of fans this year because they didn't have the right people in place. They won the championship. That's fantastic. But if you don't have someone like myself who's recognizable, even when I come back to Beaumont, people still remember me and what I did for my community. I can help fill those seats up. I can help fill. You have someone like that recognizable, like an Antwane from where he's from locally in Tennessee, yourself too as well. When they hear you guys' name, they support you because they remember you. What this
Yeah.
all that you've done for their communities. That's what can help to grow the league. So that's how I feel. That's not how I feel. It's just based upon my experience.
Yeah.
My mentor, Gene Upshaw, who used to play for the Oakland Raiders, who was our executive director of the NFL Players Association, shared a lot of this knowledge with me. Like, James, it's not always about the money. They will always make it about the money, but it's not always about the money. What the bottom line is for the players is about being treated with dignity and respect.
Mm-hmm.
The money will come later. If we can have that between management, owners, and the players, you will have a successful league. But if you don't respect your bottom line, you're not going to get the best out of the players out there on the field.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned about like the players are a business too. I think that that is even more true today than it has ever been because you look at what NIL has done to the collegiate landscape. The
Yep.
NI like that NIL opportunity is also in the indoor and arena game at a smaller scale for now,
Right.
but it's still there. Like in these individual markets, like you said, the opportunity to be the face of the franchise in around Nashville, in and around Clarksville, it's there, and I just think we're in such an interesting time with NIL and not just TV deals, but streaming and social media consumption. It's like you got to have like a multifaceted approach to it where you want that legacy TV deal, but also you got to go where people are. Like you look at like the was it Gen Z and Gen Alpha?
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what they're all called,
Yeah.
but like you kind of got to go to where they are because they're not watching traditional TV anymore. So it's such an interesting mix of like you want to keep the legacy stuff, but also go where they're at.
Yeah.
Antoine, what do you think?
Um, Honestly, I think like James said, just to piggyback off of what he said, I feel like, and piggyback off of what you said, I think a culmination of both just being innovative in a sense of how we're able to watch the game, whether it's streaming, whether it's landing that TV deal. So I just feel like agree with both of you guys. Just a culmination of both will definitely help the game grow.
And from the player's perspective, I mean, you playing as recently as this year, AF1 had some growing pains, and it seemed like towards the end of the year they really hit their stride.
Yep.
From that player's perspective, like what are some things that, hey, let's keep doing this, or hey, let's change this up a little bit and change the way we approach this. Like, what would be some of those things you would recommend?
I think definitely I would want to like expand upon having those TV streaming apps. We had Vice this season, we had Vice TV, and then we
Mhm.
also had Evergreen now. I just feel like or even if we went back into, I was thinking this too, honestly, go back into I know in the AFL we had DraftKings. So we had like DraftKings betting and things like that. Just
Yeah,
fan the game just to make it a bit more, interesting. I think that was always one thing that I always took from the AFL, like seeing myself on DraftKings and things like that, and people bet on it. I just thought that was cool. So I think we can implement that, and then I think that'll kind of help
yeah.
too. So that's something.
Yeah, some of those off the field things I know they're focusing on. They're looking at expanding, but
Yeah,
yeah, they had some of it last year, but I know they're looking to grow it even further. And like I said, it's an exciting time to in the indoor and arena world just because there's a lot of good things happening, but
yeah,
you just got to make sure that you're doing it the right way. Because if 2024 taught us anything,
yes,
it's not a hey, just start and we'll figure out the money later. Like
right,
that's not at all how this works, and that's usually how catastrophe strikes and just makes the whole industry look bad.
yeah, that's definitely.
Well, what's off the field life look like for you, Antoine? What are you up to nowadays?
I'm back in Philadelphia. I'm teaching and coaching as well. So I'm the defensive coordinator over at Girard College. And then I'm also teaching over at Esperanza. So just teaching and coaching is how my off the field life looks. Spending time with my family, but definitely giving back to my community and the younger generation.
How does an offensive specialist end up as a defensive coordinator? How did that happen?
You tell me. To be honest, to be honest, I was and actually it was a promotion. So it was I was a receivers coach for the past few seasons. Always been assistant coach, but this past season we had our offensive coordinator. He took another position. Our head coach went to the offensive side of the ball, and the promotion side was Coach Grant. You know, offenses just go to the defense side of the ball and just honestly, I played defense in high school, so I have like a bit of a mean streak. You know, I played special teams with Coach Arbet. He's one of those guys where he don't care where you at, special teams, defense, up, make a play. So, I had my fair share of, tackles this season, so I feel like defense side of the ball, I played safety. So it comes natural, to be honest. Defense comes natural.
So what I'm hearing is you could have played Iron Man. You just wanted to conserve yourself. Yeah.
Guys that's going both ways are hard. Like, just take OS and let me just do both ways.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm picking up what you're laying down. I see what you're saying. Well, what's next for you? Are we seeing you back on the field in 2026? So it was 2025 a farewell tour? Like what are we thinking?
I mean, that's the hope. I mean, the hope is the game. Like I said, as long as you do right by the game gonna do right by you. And hopefully, if the game can keep going in the direction that it's going, I would definitely love to be back year 2 in the AF1, and just go from there. Like I said, I'm 32, but I feel like I'm 28. So, I got a lot of I got a lot of tread on these tires. So
yeah.
I am definitely looking forward to it. Just got to see, again, how things line up, where some coaches land. I did see that there was what is that? The 2 teams that's coming I did see Coach Outlaw's coach. He just took the coaching position. I forgot what
Coach
city.
Walker.
Coach Walker, what city was that?
It's rumored Cincinnati. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's looking like Cincinnati.
Ohio. So just like I said, just going to see where things pan out. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm back. Fingers crossed.
Okay. Well, I figured I'd go straight to the source because I saw some not so cryptic social posts over the past week or so. And I'm like, all right, we're going to dig into this. Like, what does this mean?
Right.
No, honestly, that was just me just letting out some steam. I had a few thoughts and rather than going, just diving directly into it, I just feel like, throw a little sub here, throw a little sub there. I mean, I would love to be back. However, just depending on how things play out, we just got to let things play out. But I would love to be back. I would love to be back in the F1.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's a business.
Yes.
Each person is a business. Each player is a business. So it's important to know your worth and take that into consideration. Well, guys, this has been great, and I really appreciate both of y'all hopping on here. And we'll definitely have to keep in touch and maybe check back in the springtime before the season starts and see where we go from there. But one last question before we go, Antwane. I saw the nickname GRIZZ is all over the place. What's the origin story of the GRIZZ here? Like, lay it on me.
I honestly don't know. I think the first year that started was 2021. Was down in Columbus. I don't know, Grant, GRIZZ. I don't know. I had to celebrate. Like every time I got a first down, I would always do like some GRIZZ. So they just called it like GRIZZ, and I think the name just from there took off. I think I went from GRIZZ to Big GRIZZ to like went to Albany in 22. I went to Capital GRIZZ, Captain GRIZZ. I became Philly GRIZZ, and it's just all these GRIZZs to Nashville GRIZZ. So GRIZZ has just always stuck with me since 21, and I kind of like take that alter ego and I kind of like run with it. So that's just kind of how I play. I play like I kind of play big, grizzly. So that's where that comes from.
All right, so we're talking to Mr. Grant right now, but once the helmet goes on, we're talking to Mr. GRIZZ, right?
There you go.
That's it.
Okay, there you go. All right, I'm glad we cleared that up. I'm glad we're on the same page there. But guys, like I said, this has been great. We'll stay in touch and we'll talk next time. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Big thanks again to Mr. Grant and Mr. Guidry for hopping on the show this week and just talking shop. I think it's a unique blend of experiences from the two of them. the more old school with James Guidry, and then the more recent with Antwane Grant, and also a little bit of the old school from like the 2010s as well. He was in the AFL the last year, or he was in the 2019 AFL. He was co-rookie of the year, and he kind of got a taste of what that was like, and had some experiences in different arena leagues. So it was interesting to get the different perspectives from each of them. And it seems like each of them comes from a place where they really want to see the game grow, and they really want to see, for James in particular, he wants to see the game grow to what it was in the late 90s and early 2000s. And like I touched on during the talk, I think we're on our way there. We just need the league to keep doing the good thing, and keep doing what's in the best interest of the players, and for the fans as well. And I think each league has their own path, but I think we will be able to, create a healthy ecosystem within the indoor and arena football scape if those things can get done. So big thanks again to Mr. Grant and Mr. Guidry. All right, so I'm going to be very transparent with you here. That's right, you, if you're listening, I'm staring right at you. I'm talking right into your ear holes if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I don't know why I said ear holes. That didn't sound right. Didn't feel great coming out, but you know what? We're going to keep it in. I'm pre-recording this about the couple days before the weekend of games, about a week in advance of the episode dropping. Have some personal things I got to attend to, and won't be in the studio next week after the games from this past weekend have played. So I can't really dive into the games because I don't know what happened. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this and this happened, or this and this happened, because I don't know yet. But please make sure you follow us on socials, and I'm definitely going to be watching the games, definitely going to be posting about them, posting some highlights, talking about it, dropping some hot takes, and everything in between. So, like I said, go check us out on socials. This is going to be a shorter episode than usual, but yeah, really appreciate everyone's support up to this point across all the socials. We're growing those things out, and it's exciting to see it all happen. But that's the show. It's a shorter show than usual. Like I said, big thanks to Mr. Grant and Mr. Guidry for hopping on the show and talking about their experiences. And go say hey to them on their socials, and come say hey on the Off the Wall socials. That's at Off the Wall FB. F as in foot, B as in ball. Off the Wall FB. We're on Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. So go give us a follow on each of those. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribing, liking the channel, liking the video, all the things and stuff there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, same thing. Go make sure you go and rating the show 5 stars preferably, but hey, do your thing, and leave a review and let people know what they're missing out on. So there's only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend about 50 minutes of that listening to Off the Wall this week means a lot. So we got only, I think by when this is coming out, I think we'll only have one major game left, and that'll be the IFL National Championship. So, yeah, the season's about to wrap up, and we're about to hit the premier outdoor football season. But yeah, we got some exciting things lined up for content during the indoor and arena football off season. So we're going to keep this thing going. And if there's ideas for content that you want to see, whether it's short form on the socials or podcasts, episode ideas. Some things I've heard before are, hey, let's do an episode deep dive into a specific team. Let's learn about the history of this. Let's learn about the history of that. I'm open to ideas. So drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think, what you would want to see, and we'll see what we can do and see what we can come up with. But really appreciate all the love and support, like I mentioned before, and take care. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.